Something completely different.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking to you live just outside.
I like to think balding is just God's way of saying, now let's see you get laid.
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
What I'd really like to do is put the greatness of this man in perspective.
The hairloss community has a lot to be thankful for, having you as a spokesperson.
You mean you just call this guy up?
About life and about reality.
And now, America's #1 reality radio show for men. Live from Los Angeles, it's Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
Joseph Tillman, how are you, my friend?
I'm fine, Spencer. How are you?
You are looking well, and you're actually sounding a lot better. I didn't have time
It's not that bad.
Good.
It's not that bad. I'm feeling better.
I'm glad. I'm not even listening. I don't even have the show embedded into The Bald Truth because I just got to the studio. So I have to go to your channel, and I have to grab that show. It says that we're live right now.
Grab that link.
Yeah.
Well, while you're doing that, I'd like to thank everyone watching that was tuning in last Friday when I went solo with the worst case of laryngitis I have ever had, literally ever had in my life. You can still hear it. Like it's I've got a great radio voice today. It's still with me, but I'm probably 85% of where I should be. And I'd kind of be happy if it stopped here. I'm kind of digging this, but yeah, so thank you for all the support. Like I had a lot of comments of people saying get well soon, and it was really nice.
Well, I like,
So,
first of all, I did take a look at it, and I have to say that I enjoyed it a lot. I know you had some problems with your phone lines, but you set that up last minute. But my reality is I would much prefer you to turn on the camera, do your thing, and for me to just kind of walk off into the sunset. I've told you that before.
Yeah, I know.
I think that you can. I think that you have a lot of natural talent. I think once you get your phones together and your shit together in your studio, then, you'll be an American Hairloss Association trusted content creator, and I will day drink on Fridays.
I already am.
I know, but you
already do.
You'll promote it on the show. Well, I usually don't day drink, but I'd have the opportunity to day drink on Fridays.
You would have more of an opportunity, yeah. The funny thing about the phones is they were fine. It's just I have the option of muting everything that everyone would normally hear. I just don't know the system well enough to do it yet because I did literally set it up like 20 minutes before I went live. Got the number, got it patched into my board. It's pretty fortuitous that it actually worked to begin with. So pretty happy with it. But yeah, I mean it's a matter of just understanding the system and getting used to it. So
I also think the hardest part about running a broadcast while I am trying to get this. What is it called? Embed code and log into this site and put it on to The Bald Truth. I think the hardest part is, especially when you're running everything yourself, is making everything happen and make it look effortless, like camera switching, running your board, answering your calls, not saying, wait a second, we have a phone call, what do I do? Not saying you were doing that, but that's what I see. And it just takes time. It's like driving a car. Eventually, it's just second nature. You're like hypnotized, and you're just kind of moving like, you're a one-man band, and everything's working. I know when I have people in the studio, I'm not saying they're amazed. They always say they are, because to me it's like second nature. But when they see exactly what this takes, the younger guys, they come on, they do their thing, they put a camera, it's a webcam or whatever type of camera. They're not taking calls. They're not really running a full soundboard or like old school radio equipment. So it's probably a little bit less, let's just say, user intensive.
I like that descriptive. That works. Yeah.
But
I would agree
my
with that.
shit is like, this could be in a fucking radio museum. So to run this thing the way that we have to run it, I have to crank up the fucking computer in the back. I have to turn on the 360 and the mic processors and the old school phone system that from like 1998.
Let the vacuum tubes warm up.
Yeah. I actually have.
Few people understand that one.
Incandescent light bulbs. Actually, I'm fibbing a little bit. They're compact. Compact. What are those called?
I don't know, but have you measured your carbon footprint because
compact
of that?
fluorescence.
Wow,
dude. I drive a 2005 Lincoln Navigator. I put gas in it three times a year.
I got the carbon footprint of Leo DiCaprio's private jet.
Let me see if this works. That works. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. Let me press update and see if this took. If you are figuring out why you can't find us on The Bald Truth, you actually can right now. So I guess you're not listening to me. You can't hear this until after the fact, but we are now there, I think. Let me check. Yeah, there we are. Good for you, Spence.
Spencer, please turn down your speaker.
I just did. All right, guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. It is good to be back. I'm sorry, my main streaming machine essentially just burnt out while I was doing an interview for Global Hair Loss Summit. And in my younger years, I would probably have been embarrassed by that. Like, you know, you're interviewing someone who's supposed to be kind of important and your shit just breaks. And so I just texted the guy and I said, listen, my machine just busted. We'll have to make it another day. And he was cool with it.
I don't find that to be unusual that he's cool with it, because most of these people that you're interviewing think that just the fact that you can do this in the first place is witchcraft. They have no clue.
I'm talking about my growth as a human being, Joseph.
That's okay.
I'm talking about the fact that I am no longer neurotic or give a shit that people think that I possibly fucked up somehow. No, but you're right.
Got it. Good for you, Spencer.
I'm just giving you shit. The bottom line is nothing means shit in this world. You do your best to do your best, and that's all you can do. Phone number is 888-659-3727. This is the Hair Loss Show. We have some calls that are waiting on the line, so we're going to get to you in a second. But I want to talk about this year's Global Hair Loss Summit. And Joe, you and I were speaking about this, and I'm going to I fully understand why the ISHRS has been in the red for so long and how they are unable to get shit done. Because when you try to outsource stuff, you don't do it yourself, nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. I am a 57-year-old man who has, well, I'm at a certain point in my life where I should not physically have to labor. I don't mind doing it. I really don't mind doing it. Like if I had my
head, make it sound like you're pounding stakes into a railroad tie.
When you're dealing with the personalities of some of these people, it's actually, I'd rather be doing that. But having to do the physical work, having to do some of the editing, which you're doing, you're doing all of the editing for the actual presentations. But the amount of work that goes into this is just fucking unbelievable. And the questions and the some of the presentations that are coming in, and just the inability for people to do some of their own editing, and people putting commercials in their fucking talks, and then trying to outsource some of the work just so that we don't have to stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning. And then the people you're outsourced to, they don't get it right or understand it. They can't even send out fucking invitations correctly.
I just kind of laugh because one of the many things you just mentioned just kind of struck me, because when I'm editing these presentations of these doctors, it's astounding to me that they don't realize that this is not going to be publicly presented. It's a closed event. It's a pay-per-view type of event for doctors and staff only, and they have a commercial as if they're marketing this on Facebook. And I just don't understand the concept of putting a commercial for your clinic and saying that you're the best in the world when you're talking only to your colleagues. I just don't get it.
You're coming a little hot, dude. You're a little, maybe turn down your mic a little bit. It sounds good though. It's very robust.
Because my hair's on point apparently. according to Sean Lane. The hair's on point. I am hot. Oh, sorry. Anyway.
You are pretty hot.
You know, speaking of my hair, you know what's crazy is I actually, for the first time in probably 12 years, I got a little concerned about my hair. And, you know, I've had this laryngitis thing for, it'll be 4 months this coming Wednesday. Or 3 weeks, but I've been 4 weeks ago. This coming Wednesday, I got sick.
Spit it out there.
And I think I lost a hair. I said it. I saw it in the sink. I flipped out, and it's like, is this a telogen effluvium due to the stress of having laryngitis and just being sick? I don't know.
Now,
I'm just saying, throwing it out there.
I'm not hoping that it was more than one hair, but I'm hoping that you didn't just see one hair and then freak out.
I did see one hair and freaked out because I never see hair.
Oh, I see hair.
I never see hair.
I have seen hair all over the place for years. It's like, it's on my computer. It's on my, when I blow dry especially, it's like stuck to the wall. It's been like that forever. When I sweep up, which is not often, but when I do, I'm like, this is like especially around the bathroom areas from blow drying your hair.
Yeah.
Which is relatively normal. So anyone who's seeing that, don't freak out. It's relatively normal. But I think Joe probably doesn't see much hair because it's mostly transplanted hair.
Exactly. Well, I mean, it has its own growth cycle, just like it did when it was in the donor area. But I don't know. I almost never see my own hair in the sink, and I just remember seeing it. And I just kind of looked at it. I was like, I don't see those every day. And I picked it up and I looked at it and I started thinking about it. And it's like, what does this mean? And I started to think back of my youth.
Over you.
It's like I'm done. Good night.
You are finished,
but
man.
Obviously it hasn't done anything. But yeah.
Or has it?
Or has it? Exactly. Yeah. It did take me longer to do my hair today. It took about 4 minutes as opposed to 2. Just saying. Anyway.
Yeah, I actually just got out of the shower and I left my software on and I have my monitors on and I'm like, I hear, hello? And I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it was you. Because I recorded my welcome message last night for the Global Hair Loss Summit. And it was late at night when I did. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I was like, once I finished that, I'm like, I got to go get a drink. And I just left it on accidentally. And you snuck in. Guys, the phone number is 888-659-3727. The good news is that everything seems to be working.
Seems to be. And with that said, everyone that's watching this right now live and the replay after the fact, don't forget to hit that like button because we need to trigger that algorithm. We are striving for 2023 for more views. If you're not subscribed, do hit that subscribe button. Of course, ring that bell to get all notifications of videos and shows on this channel. Thank you so much.
Guys, phone number 888-659-3727. Guys, we're holding on. We'll take your call in a second. You know, I got a DM from a person who is kind of well known in the carnivore world. Super, what? Why is that so funny?
Because it's such a bizarre sidestep of what you want to say.
It really is.
Oh, it was good. It was good. Okay, sorry. Continue. The DM from a carnivore.
A carnivore person.
Yes.
And this is a kind of a well-known person, a little bit of a smoke show, and was asking me directly about carnivore living and hair loss, and essentially asked me if I was did I have an animal-based diet, because I speak about my age so much. I do that purposely, by the way, just to show my wisdom. And I guess in her mind, she felt, at least on camera, I looked significantly less, deteriorated than I should for a man of my years. And she wanted to know about hair, and she wanted to do something about carnivore living and hair growth. And I'm just like...
Interesting.
I'm just like, well, first of all, I like to have a drink. Secondly, I'm not on any carnivore diet. I eat mostly meat. I just always have.
Yeah.
But I will say, and I think it's an interesting point, there's no doubt in my mind that, at least for women, the two main causes for the early onset of female pattern hair loss are hormonal birth control and not getting enough animal protein in their diets.
Yes.
100%.
Mm-hmm. I'm a
So,
believer.
maybe I will do a live with this person. It'll help my ridiculous Instagram following. By the way, follow me on Instagram at Spencer Kobren. People, do that. Whoever's listening to this fucking show, just follow me. What's the big deal?
Do it. Just do it.
I got important people who follow me.
You do.
Crying out
You
loud.
do. We won't mention it. We won't say anything, but not out loud. But people can go look and see for themselves. It's pretty cool.
I got to build that up. Anyway, so I thought it was interesting, and I think that's maybe something that we should talk about at some point, and maybe I should start doing some of these programs with these people.
That'd be
Because I
nice.
believe in that. I wrote about this back in 1998. Everyone thought I was crazy. Bob Bernstein was supposed to write the original foreword to The Bald Truth. And when he saw my chapter on diet and hair loss, when I had Barry Sears write a few pages for me from the Zone Diet, and I talked about herbal preparations and, saw palmetto pygium africanum, making sure that they were standardized extract and that they were shown to actually lower DHT in clinical studies. He said that he couldn't be associated with that as far as having his name on the book because there's no clinical data. And I'm like, there's a real scientist who's writing about it. And
Real
and I wrote about this, and I wrote about something that was in the Journal of the American Medical Association. I was like, all right, so I found someone else to write it forward. Book takes off. His name could have been on it. And that is the story of this industry.
Woulda, shoulda, coulda.
888-659-3727. One last thing. I haven't done the show in a while, so I'm talking a lot. One last thing. Saw this great picture. Me and Dow Stow at the first Global Hair Loss Summit. And I have to say, that was probably the first time I had a conversation with Dow Stow, who's the founder of the International Society of Hair Restoration Surgeons. First conversation that I ever had with him where he wasn't yelling at me.
Nice. It's the little wins.
Yeah. I want to post that
Good
later.
times.
Phone number is 888-659-3727. Let's take a phone call. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hi, this is Jonathan from Wisconsin.
Jonathan,
Hello, Jonathan.
how are you, man?
Hi, I don't know if you remember me. I called a couple months ago, but I was the guy that was dealing with folliculitis, and I just wanted to call with an update.
I do remember you. How
Absolutely.
are you, man?
I do.
Things are going really, really well. Well, in short, your advice wasn't correct for me personally, but
nice way to
it
lead
ended
off
up
the
putting me
fucking
in-
show, man.
Yeah, just
you're
calling to
not-
let
you're
you know
not
that
the
you were
dermatologist.
wrong.
Just calling to let you know that you fucked me up.
Hey, I was about to compliment you guys, but you didn't want me to finish the sentence.
I want you to. Go ahead, please.
Well, you guys aren't the dermatologist guys, to be fair, but your advice wasn't correct for me personally, but it ended up putting me on a path to get things all fixed up for me, so I just wanted to call and say thanks.
Well, let's talk about that. What advice did we give you, and what path did it set you on?
So to recap, where I was at was, dermatologists had put me on antibiotics, didn't really work, and then they were offering me Accutane, which I walked away from, and then called this show asking what I should do. And you guys said I should work on my diet and see if that was causing it. So I tried an elimination diet. I thought I saw something at first, in like the first day, but not really. And also, my body really couldn't take the strict elimination diet because I could fill up my stomach with what I was eating, but I just simply wasn't getting enough calories because, I'd eat, fill up my stomach, and then a few minutes later, my stomach would be just begging for more food. So it didn't really work. So I went for less strict elimination diets. I wasn't really seeing anything. And your kind of advice about not strictly taking the dermatologist's word for it wanted me to keep looking for alternative things based in science. And I don't usually try and go into the world of bro science or forums for advice, but I ended up seeing a forum about folliculitis, and what struck me was everyone had the same experience with a dermatologist as me, where you go do a round or two of antibiotics, and then they just try and throw Accutane at you.
Sure.
Now, everyone had a slightly different, they said cure, but it was really a treatment. They had a slightly different treatment. But since there were people saying they had success and they had the same clinical experience as me, I wanted to kind of see what was all in common. And they were all saying the over-the-counter drug benzoyl peroxide is the best thing to use. I had tried that before, but I'm convinced now through trying it, it really depends on how you use it. Because when I first tried it, I would only have it on for barely any time, like a minute or two, then wash it off. And I saw someone saying they tried leaving it on longer, so I ended up doing that, and it just really worked.
Which over-the-counter product?
The brand?
Yeah.
The brand I'm currently using is called Oxy, and
what's the percentage of benzoyl peroxide?
10%. It's the max over the counter.
Okay.
Wow.
And what's interesting about the brands is when I first tried benzoyl peroxide, I used a brand called Pan-Oxyl. And like I said, I wasn't having results with that, but I'm convinced it's the duration I had it on for because it's the same active ingredient. But I also think I was allergic to the inactive ingredients in Pan-Oxyl because it would just get my skin really irritated compared to the Oxy brand.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, there's that. Probably going to start a spin-off show from you guys called The Skin Truth about my frustration with dermatologists, but that's neither here nor there.
Wow.
I like that. The Skin Truth.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, you're probably going to get a lot of attention because people are going to think it has to do with maybe a little pornography. So
I don't think I'm that brave.
And who's to say it won't?
Yeah. Listen,
who's to say it won't?
We could all evolve, man.
Yeah. But anyway, I never figured out what's causing it. I just figured out the personalized treatment for me.
Well, I think, first of all, that's huge. And, we talk about bro science on this program and how there's a lot of bro science out there. There's a couple of instances where I have seen bro science or bros speaking about their experiences and their research and, their detailed information that they put online. I've seen it work for people on, for various issues, including hair. So I'm not opposed to bro science, and I actually think for some people it could be a little insulting. There's some guys online who really do a good job of explaining stuff, and there are some Reddit threads and forums, dare I say, where you can get some good information. It's just the problem is a lot of people just jump on the information bandwagon, do something to their bodies without really doing their due diligence. But what you decide to do is fairly safe.
Yeah, I'd say it is, especially since I was only using a very common over-the-counter drug.
Yeah.
And I wasn't listening to the people like it was gospel. I tried to see what they all had in common, figured I already tried this over-the-counter drug and just tried to do it differently. So
Well, I'm really happy.
I don't think I was acting crazy.
I'm really happy. You should write your dermatologist a nasty letter.
She was a very nice lady, but
no, but like an old school, like send her like a card in an envelope. You know?
Oh my God, a Christmas card of my head.
Yeah. Thanks for nothing, biatch. So.
Yeah, I'm really happy I walked away from the dermatologist because I really, it would have been a regret to do Accutane almost in any circumstance.
Of course.
I'll give you guys a little TMI. Yeah. I had a urological issue. It was really fucked up about a year ago. Went to a urologist, and he's like, it might be your prostate. I'm like, I've been on finasteride for 30 fucking years. I have the prostate the size of a pea. Can't be it. Well, these are the symptoms, and, try this medication. I go on this medication. The side effects are a little fucked up. I'm like, all right, I'll do it for a short period of time. Let's see what happens. Maybe there's some slight improvement, but really it wasn't anything. So then I kept contacting him, and he's like, let's put you on a small dose of Viagra or Cialis, rather, that's used for this particular indication. I'm like, are you kidding me? Not that I wouldn't take Cialis or Viagra if I felt that I needed it or if I wanted to really, shoot some ropes. Well, you don't shoot ropes, but you know what I mean. But I didn't want to be on something full-time that could potentially cause me to go blind or deaf or whatever the potential adverse side effects were. Long story short, I found another urologist. He's like, yeah, it's a myofascial issue, and you can get therapy for that. And basically they massage you and shit like that. I went to this therapist. I was hooked up. No medications. So if I would have stuck with this really well-known urologist and continued on his course, his plan, I would be a mess today. Or I would be on drugs that I don't need to take.
Well, he didn't have a plan. He was spitballing it.
Yeah. Or
try this. Try that. Or
I still have the pain and a perpetual hard-on.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I definitely respect doctors' opinions and that sort of thing. But I've had other experiences.
Give it time.
I was in the hospital a few months ago, and for an emergency room visit, and the emergency room doctor talked to me. I was convinced that at 23 years old, I would need a pacemaker, and this sent me going through talking to the cardiologist, getting every test in the book just for them to go, there's not a single thing wrong with your heart. So I don't know. I guess doctors are trying to get me to spend money.
It's not even that. There's a lot of spitballing and incompetence and laziness and just arrogance. Look, these are human beings, and they come into this field with their evolved or devolved or just the personality that they that developed over the years, where they had fucked up parents or they had a fucked up life, whatever. And you are going to them for advice, and there are people that get something in their mind and they're like, this is it, They hone in on something and they could be completely incorrect. And they're wearing the white coat and people listen to them. So it's not that I disrespect doctors. It's a hard work, man. These are usually relatively smart people who got really good grades as young people and then made sacrifices as younger people to go to medical school once they got in and to do what they needed to do. But let's face it, everything is done by a very certain, the book criteria. There's a lot of politics in medicine, and there's very few doctors who really are willing to think outside the box. They look at an issue and they go down the list in their heads or through the physician's desk reference, and they decide what medication will treat this particular issue or what medical device. In your case, it would have been a pacemaker with an operation.
Mm-hmm.
So
I can't even say they go down the list. I think it's more of a gut feeling that pops up based on some trigger word that registers with them, and they're like, it's got to be this. And they don't even bother with.
Look at the chat we're involved in and some of the questions that are happening. And I happen to just say, for this one person who asked the question, why not try, one doctor says, to put the person on topical steroids. It may have been oral steroids. but make sure they don't take it for more than this period of time. And I'm like, you know, maybe try this topical analgesic non-steroidal lotion that you can buy over the counter. That works. Try that first before you put the patient on steroids. Silence. You know?
Can you imagine if I had chimed in with saying just use a bottle of saline every hour when the issue flares up? Because that's what I used to do.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Use saline solution?
Well, okay. So the question was in this group of doctors that we converse with, how to deal with postoperative itching for a patient, and the answer is I was kind of laughing, kind of scratching my head, like, well, where are they getting these ideas from? Because I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it, Spencer. So maybe it was a bit more involved, but it seemed like it was just normal post-op itching. I think it was like 5 weeks post-op. Is that about right, Spencer?
Yeah, I think so. People are talking about the direction of the grafts and, you know, what may have happened during the procedure. How about the guy's
it's just a normal.
He's healing.
It's a normal process of healing.
Yeah.
It's like everyone itches after they get like 5, 6, 7 weeks after surgery. I did after every one of mine, and I'd either like suck it up and just push through, or I'd have a bottle of saline handy and just spray it, and that action alone would relieve the itch for like an hour.
But I have to go in there and type very gingerly and be like, you know, I know I'm not a doctor and I don't play one on the radio, but you know, I've spoken with thousands of patients over the years, and this is really normally what can be done in a situation like this. As essentially the first line of attack before you go for the big guns.
Medicating.
Crickets.
Like, Jesus, back off.
Crickets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the chat was saying use steroids for an itch, or am I misunderstanding?
You are not misunderstanding.
Yes. You are not misunderstanding, yes.
Well,
and what everyone should also not misunderstand is they should hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed
Crying out
already.
loud. This is a free show.
Let's trigger that algorithm.
I think that's the problem, is because we don't charge people for the invaluable entertainment and information that we provide them. They just take it for granted, and they hang out with people who don't.
That'll change.
That'll change. Good information. Anyway, listen, Colin. I'm so happy.
It is an entertaining show, and it really put me on a good path for getting me help. So again, thanks. And you know, like I said earlier, I'm 23 years old. Don't give up on the young people.
We won't.
Shaved my head and then dealt with this other problem without going down the bad path that I think you guys would label.
Well, I'm really happy that you found.
I'm glad you found an answer for
broadcast. And you know what? I think this is a lesson in life. You know, a lot of people go down a certain direction, or they think, you know, whether they're advised to go down one direction or whatever. Same in business and everything. There's always sometimes going down one direction leads you to branch off into another direction, where you eventually solve your problems. And that's what happened with you. So I'm glad that happened.
Yeah. And final note, Spencer, I also have OCD, so I completely understand your reservations on wanting to not shave your head. So I went through the same thing myself.
How dare you?
What do you mean?
Dude,
I'm trying to empathize.
You are. That was very well. It was empathetic and sympathetic, and I appreciate that, man. Yeah. Listen, I'm glad that you got help, and that's all that matters, man. You're going through, dealing with that shit is just, life is a pain in the ass as it is. Having to deal with that, something you didn't need to deal with. So I'm glad you were able to rectify it.
Yeah.
All right,
well,
brother.
I'll get off the line now. So your more traditional callers can call in. I know I've kind of been atypical case.
Dude, you're the best, man. I'm glad that you were helped.
Yeah, thanks again. You guys were really lifesavers. It really put me on the right path.
Oh, I'm glad.
I'm glad we could help.
Happy holidays, man.
Yep. Happy holidays. Happy Hanukkah.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Had to slip in the Jewish thing. They always have to slip in the Jewish thing, like I'm different.
They always got to do it. Yeah.
I appreciate that. There's Ari Shafir. I don't know if you know him. He does Rogan a lot.
Who?
Ari Shafir, I think his name is. He came out. He just put a special on YouTube called Jew, and it got a tremendous amount of traffic, like 4 million or so downloads.
Wow!
But what incredible timing! What incredible fucking time! The Kanye West thing, and then, all the anti-Semitic stuff, and now everyone's changing their fucking Facebook profiles to put a Jewish star or whatever. It's perfect. This guy could not have picked a better time to put out a special called Jew.
Of course. Yeah. Because the traffic is probably through the roof.
100%. Because all the assholes are looking up Jew and they're finding a special.
Yeah.
All the anti-Semites are typing something about Jews. And I could say Jews, but I don't know. It's interesting. There are people out there who say that a non-Jew or a goy should not use the term Jew. They should say Jewish people or Jewish person. I was never offended by that. Ever.
I've never heard it in a manner that, well, I can't say never, but the majority of the times I hear it in that manner, it's benign or positive.
Dude, I'm a
Rarely is it negative.
I'm a passable Jewish person. I could be in a room full of people. No one thinks I'm a Jew. And the shit that I've heard in my life will blow your fucking mind. I had a doctor, not John Cole, but a guy in Atlanta call me, and not Ken Anderson.
I like that.
Not John Cole or Ken Anderson, but a doctor in
I like
Atlanta
that caveat, yeah.
who is now retired. Called me up. He had never seen me on camera. And he called me up and he said, all these years I thought you were just some Jew from New York. And I'm like, I am.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I am a Jew from New York. He didn't know what to say. He's like, well, basically, at least you don't look like one. That.
Because
so
you don't wear a yarmulke and you don't have a schnoz.
I don't have the stereotypical caricature of a Jewish-looking person. Now, I don't even take offense to that, but being who I am and being around the people I've been through my entire life and being passable as a Caucasian, which I am Caucasian. I'm Caucasian when I didn't want to get into it. I just put a Biden. But sometimes I'm Caucasian and sometimes I'm a different race. It really depends on the mood of the people during the whatever century or generation we're in.
What do you mean the people?
Well, if people want to talk the people, if people want to talk about.
Sorry, that's a Ross Perot reference. You don't actually have to answer.
If they want to lump us into colonialism and stuff like that, then I'm Caucasian.
Oh, it's not. There's not an if. It's when.
Right. If they, like what Hitler decided to do, all of a sudden we're a different race. It's just the way it is. You know what I do? I roll with it. I look at the golf course across the street, and when people come over, when doctors come over here, I'm like, they're like, what is that? What golf course is that? I'm like, that's the Los Angeles Country Club. I said, it wasn't until 1979 that my people were allowed to join, to become members of that country club, and there's always silence. Anyway.
Rob Helder says, is Spencer cheap?
888-659-3727. We are the smallest percentage of the world's population, and everyone bitches that we own everything or that we run everything. Well, why the fuck do you think that is?
Because there's not enough of you to fight back.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Mike from New York. How you doing?
Mike, what's happening, man?
Hey, Mike, man. How you doing?
Good. Just wanted to check in. Been a while since I talked to you guys. But
how are you?
Yeah, it's still, I got to tell you, still losing the battle, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
Still shedding a lot. Yeah. So I've tried everything at this point. I've tried the oral minoxidil. I'm on that. I'm on.
Well, wasn't there a time? I don't mean to cut you off. Wasn't the last call a positive call?
Yeah. So I was working with that guy, and I'm still doing the things he had recommended. I'm trying to keep the diet very anti-inflammatory. I did the scalp mask, and it did seem to calm it for a period of time. And the itching is not horrible. I mean, honestly, most of the itching, surprisingly, is in the donor area, but I'm still just shedding like crazy, Like, the density now on top is to the point where, you wake up and you're like, when you don't have any topic or anything in your hair, you're like, wow, I've lost a lot of ground, Like, it's getting to the point where I'm going to have to start considering my options as far as, because I don't want to shave my head, maybe a hair system or, that's looking something down the line, especially if a transplant's not going to be an option.
So what is what is the current state of your scalp right now?
So there's no redness and there's no dandruff, but I still have this itching that goes on, mostly, believe it or not, on the sides and in the donor area, and I am losing there as well.
Do you wear hats
a
lot?
little bit, it will come and go on the top, but I'm still shedding massively.
This sounds like an old school question, but do you wear hats a lot?
No, I don't wear any hats at all.
And the only reason I ask is because I wear, I don't do my hair, I wear hats all the time, and I do notice that either it's from just hairspray on the sides and the back of my scalp or whatever, sometimes I will have like itching around the perimeter of the hat, so I was just curious.
Yeah, no, and it's just it's to the point where it's like hair all the time. Like if I run my hands through the hair fall. If I comb my hair fall. I shampoo my hair, tons of hairs in the shower.
Have you been checked for diffuse alopecia areata? Have you gone to
No, they didn't check for that.
Okay, something you may want to check.
I mean, Bernstein did a biopsy, if you remember, to see if it was Polaris or whatever it was called. But
lichen planopilaris.
Yeah.
And did he check you out with a dermatoscope?
I don't remember if he did just a visual inspection or used a scope. I know I'm due to see him in March again to refill the oral minoxidil. But, yes, I got off topical minoxidil because we were worried that it was irritating the scalp. And I was just wondering, you think this is a shed because of that? I mean, but that's been almost a year now.
Probably not. I mean, it could be, but it's probably not. I would, ask specifically about the potential of, non-scarring inflammatory alopecia, and that could range from, alopecia areata, and it's kind of like a lump of different conditions that, could be a precursor to scarring alopecia, but if it's caught in time, it usually isn't.
So, but isn't alopecia areata usually spots, round circles?
Not necessarily. That's how it presents in most cases, and that's how everyone thinks of it. But it can be in a diffuse pattern or unpatterned, and it could also be something that they're now starting to say is they're not necessarily diagnosing it as alopecia areata, but they're diagnosing it as non-scarring inflammatory alopecia. And
how do they check for that? With the blood test?
No, they actually can do a visual check. They can see if you have like exclamation point hairs that are growing, hairs that kind of look like maybe they were fried, like burned a little bit. They like have a really weird, almost like they were electrified, kind of curliness to it. And also, if you have any kind of like yellow papules on your scalp that might be invisible to naked eye, but they can see with a dermatoscope, that's the way to check it out, for sure. If you're losing hair in the way that you, as rapidly as you're saying, there could be an inflammatory issue going on where, topical steroid injections may be something that a dermatologist or Dr. Bernstein would consider as well. But he really has to check you out for that. And normally, when you do a biopsy, you're checking for different forms of alopecia, not just scarring alopecia. But if you didn't mention it, and if you haven't had a discussion about it, it's something you should definitely discuss.
Yeah, I will. It's interesting you say that because I've noticed that the texture of the hair, as you said too, has gotten crappier. It's gotten kind of more wiry and curly, and than it was when there were good, strong androgen hairs a few years ago.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that, listen, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose you. But, these are things that you need to speak to your doctor about, because if it's not something that's considered, it's not necessarily something that they're looking for. And if Dr. Bernstein didn't check your scalp under magnification, there's really no way of telling whether or not you had those exclamation point hairs, or if you have, the telltale signs of inflammatory alopecia.
Right. I mean, that would explain the itching and the tingling, too. So I guess it's something to pursue. In the meantime, I wanted to ask you, he has me on 2.5 milligrams for the oral minoxidil, but I read online that the minimum effective dose is 5 milligrams a day. Do you know anything about that?
No,
I do not. I know patients and people and physicians who prescribe 0.5 milligrams to start people on, especially women, or 1 milligram to start women on. And yeah, I mean, there is some evidence. I know that there is a talk being given by Dr. Donovan out of Canada for the Global Hair Loss Summit this year on that very issue. And I think a lot of doctors are prescribing up to 5 milligrams, but that's kind of like if you're not doing well on 1 milligram and then 2.5 milligrams, they will boost you up to that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's...
but if you're itching the way that you're itching, there's got to be some sort of inflammation going on. I would imagine. I'm not a doctor. I keep saying that. So that is...
No, there has to be, because I never had this in my life until the last couple of years.
That's something to pursue. And you might be surprised, having... Not that you ever want steroids injected into your scalp, but having, these steroids injected into your scalp while you're on the oral minoxidil may potentially do the trick, because you're lowering the inflammatory effect, and then you're having the potential growth effects to kind of like, boost your hair into an anagen phase using the minoxidil. That could possibly do the trick. What do you think,
Yeah,
Joe?
I think I'm going to try to make an appointment with him sooner than March.
Well, I'm just curious. I'm just curious about if the donor area is where the problem is as far as itchiness. But you're saying that you're shedding like crazy. Is the donor area shedding, or is it just the top of the scalp?
Everywhere is shedding. Everywhere is shedding. So if I get in the shower and shampoo the back of my head, all the little hairs in the back of my head are going too, which is why I think it's not DHT related anymore.
This kind of feels like one of my old shows from the 90s. We're not just talking about hair transplantation anymore, Joe.
We are not. We're talking about so much more. I was listening to Spencer and what you're saying, and I think
Spencer's an idiot.
I think Spencer is just a dipshit. No, I'm trying to think of some. It reminds me of some things I've dealt with in the past when I worked in office, but I can't pinpoint exactly what it was. But I do know that I've worked with doctors in the past that have prescribed steroidal injections into problem areas where, for lack of a better, they just don't know exactly what's going on. It's spitballing it, like we're talking about with the previous caller about issues. But I think that is something that a doctor would consider. But yeah, I also think a dermatoscope is important, because they got to be able to see the exit point of the hairs in your donor region, so they can see if there's any sort of response due to inflammation. Are the base of the hair, or is the scalp at the base of each hair, is it inflamed? Is there some sort of flaking that's going on, or the yellow? What was it called, Spencer? I'm going
to let you do this.
Oh, are you?
Papules.
Are you? See what he does? I can't remember the name of it, but
papules. Yeah,
in other words, visual evidence of some sort of response to a physiological issue that's going on. Your path obviously isn't over with, but I can't help but think that there is a simple answer. It's just finding out what that answer is. I don't think it's going to be really complicated once it's figured out, and fingers crossed that it'll help you in the long run. But it's just a matter of finding it. And
I have a
so encourage
feeling-
Dr. Bernstein to use a dermatoscope and
Okay.
see if he can visualize what's going on.
Yeah, and ask him directly about non-scarring inflammatory alopecia.
Let me just write that down. Would that be alopecia areata?
It can be. That's one of the conditions.
So you said, hold on a second here. Non-scarring inflammatory alopecia.
Yeah. Diffuse alopecia areata.
Okay.
Something of that nature.
And my last question was, so let's say it is the areata. You said diffused areata? Is that what it is? Now they have that medicine for that. Would that reverse everything completely?
Well, first of all, that particular medicine that you're discussing is, could really wreak havoc on your immune system. So you really want to use that as a last resort. It might, especially if you have been diagnosed with alopecia areata or this inflammatory type of alopecia, for sure. But, I would probably go with less invasive approaches first, which would be, even though you're getting an injection, would be the topical or the scalp injections of steroids.
So here's the funny thing. I have used the topical steroids. I used Vanacream, which is, of course, the brand that doesn't put any extra stuff in it. Hydrocortisone, I think it's 1 or 2%. I leave it in overnight with a shower cap, and it hasn't really made much of a difference.
Yeah, because you're not injecting it, and probably don't want to leave it on overnight with a shower cap anyway. You don't want to thin your skin out. But yeah, I mean, essentially the steroids have to be injected into your scalp.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying that's the case. These are just suggestions. I'm not a doctor, but talk to the doctor about it, because it does sound to me like it is beyond common male pattern hair loss, and that you're having some significant inflammatory effects, and that could be what's hindering your progress with medication.
Yeah, it would seem so. I mean, I'm on dutasteride twice a week, finasteride, and now oral minoxidil. So
yeah,
and to be shedding this much is mind-boggling at this point.
And that could be the trick. That can do the trick, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as
the prognosis of these types of issues, you see people with alopecia areata or totalis, and you see, the people that really suffer the most, who have the most progressive disease. But there's a significant number of people, large percentage of people, that either will go into spontaneous remission or that treatments work for. So, there's definitely hope.
Yeah, well, it's been 2 years. And again, I feel like this all started around the time of the PRP, but it's gotten progressively worse, so maybe they're not even related at this point.
Right.
But my question is, if it is those things, they can be reversed fairly easily, or you don't really know?
Well, it can be reversed. Nothing is fairly easy, but it can definitely be reversed. If they are able to catch inflammation and the steroids work, and they usually do, then especially when you're using a growth agent like minoxidil, you should get good results. But we know how, the progression of hair loss works, and the reversal of hair loss. It takes fucking time. So what you want to see is a cessation of your shedding first, and then hopefully it hasn't been such a long time where those hair follicles are dead or there's any scarring, but he needs to check for that. So there's a chance that you could actually regrow a lot of hair if this is your condition.
All right, well, then I guess I'm not going to wait till March. I'll try to get in with him sooner.
I would not wait.
I would.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
All right, guys. Well,
okay.
We'll give that a go. It's back to Bernstein again.
Okay, and again, there's a good suggestion in the chat room about potentially seeing a rheumatologist if if it is an autoimmune disease. The thing about that is, they can definitely test you for different issues. Alopecia areata and these other inflammatory, non-scarring type of alopecias are pretty easy to diagnose visually. So anybody who's worth their salt would be able to see it.
Yeah,
right, brother.
I mean, he looked at that. He looked last time. He checked. I would assume he would do that check. You know, he looked at the scalp. He
Never
did the
assume.
scalp
He's a
biopsy.
great guy, great hair transplant surgeon. He's a dermatologist. He's been doing this for a long time. But there's always somebody else that will, give you the answers to your questions.
So, do you think I should go back to him, or is there somebody else that would be more suited to deal with this?
Dude, you can go back to him. There's nothing wrong with going back to him. And you can also get another opinion.
I was going to say, get a second opinion. Go to him. Go to him with armed with these questions about, will you do this? Will you do that? And then go to someone else and get a second opinion.
And that someone else should be what? A rheumatologist, a dermatologist, an allergist?
I wouldn't go to an allergist. My first step would be to a really good dermatologist who specializes in hair, who really understands hair disorders of the hair. The rheumatologist suggestion in the chat is not a bad suggestion at all. But I would, if it were me, I would start with someone who specifically treats hair loss conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
All right, brother.
Well, this has been a never-ending battle, but you guys are very familiar with, hair is just a tricky thing.
It is, and I'm sorry. I'm so sorry that you're going through this, but we're here for you. We'll do our best to give you advice, and it's all trial and error, sadly. And just because you could be seeing a top doctor, and they can miss it, and it could be something as simple as I just described.
Right. All right. Well, I'm going to try to get in with him sooner, and I'll report back as soon as I got something to report, I guess.
Okay. Good luck, brother.
Please do.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Okay.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good luck, Mike.
I was going to tell him to have a drink, but I don't want to fuck up his inflammation.
Yeah, exactly. So, with that said, thank you for everyone for watching this show. Be sure to hit that like button. And, of course, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe and ring the bell for all notifications, new videos, and live streams.
How about I give out the phone number?
And, of course, the phone number, 888-659-3727. That's 888-659-3727.
Now, we had all lines lit, and then there were people in the chat, and they were like, next. We don't next on this program. It's funny. When I was on the radio, I had a producer who would tell me, this is the radio, and you got to essentially rifle through these calls to keep things moving. And I said, well, this is my show, and these people are in need of help and in need of an ear. They want to talk about their situation. This is an environment that was created for people who, to talk about an issue that society does not allow us to talk about. And if you don't like it, I'll find another producer. He all of a sudden loved the show.
And no, Andrew, it's not over. I'm just reminding people to hit the like button because I'm trying to make that a habit because we never say it on the show. And trying to trigger that algorithm, the A word. The A word, that's a four-letter word.
Spence always says this story. Which story? This last story about me being on the radio?
Probably.
For 11 years? That story? When this used to be a real show? When it was national?
Hey.
And, well, you know what I mean.
I know.
Back in the 90s when I was young and I was driven. Oh, those were the days.
Yes,
dude.
back then.
I go to the studio, late night, show is at 11 o'clock.
You had to say it, didn't you? Here he goes.
Show is at 11 o'clock. Show is at 11 o'clock at night. I'd roll into the studio. I'd go to like the Brooklyn Diner right before the show, get a little fucked up and eat, do the show, and then we'd go out to the bars. Bars were open until 4 o'clock in the morning. And it was fucking great.
Good times.
It was fun. 888-659-3727. But I gotta tell you, this is a lot more convenient, Joseph.
I know.
I don't have to
Just
wear
walk
pants.
down the hallway and Yeah, just two guys sitting here without pants behind our desks talking to you from our homes.
Two old men. Oh, one old man, one
two old men.
Oldish man.
Oldish.
Drunk Spence does get more likes. You want to see me get fucked up on the air? Ralph, is that what you would like to see, Ralph? Robert?
Ralph. Well, there's a Ralph. Okay.
All right, dude. Phone number 888-659-3727. If the phone does not light up in a second, we are calling it a night because we got this global hair loss summit thing happening, and apparently I still have to work on this. I just can't say, hey, you know what? Take care of this. You know why? Because no one can fucking take care of it.
No one can do it. And I got to say, tonight's show is a great break because I just got through editing a 30-minute, I was telling you this earlier, a 30-minute video, and I cut out so much dead air that it's now a 15-minute video. I didn't tell you the final on that one. It was 20, now it's 15. There's another 5 minutes of dead air I was able to cut out.
Well, first of all, mark all these people. Anyone sends you bullshit ever again, they can't be on the faculty.
Oh, I've
make it easy.
Put a mental note that he's banned. He's banned. Well, last year it wasn't like this with him or anyone. No one has had that much dead air in their presentation to where it's literally cut in half when you eliminate the dead air.
You're a little close to your mic, my man.
Well, get over it. I like this spot. You know what? I'm staying in the spot.
You can stay in the spot, but just push your microphone back.
There we go. How's that? That better?
That's better. You're not coming in as hot.
Okay. Good.
Spencer smoke a blunt on the air. I can't do that, man. I would get high, and then I would be like, I'm still doing this fucking show 25 years later? And I would shut off my camera and sit on the couch and watch the news.
You know, Ralph in the chat asks if we recommend 2% ketoconazole 2 to 3 times a week. No, unless you have a need for something like that. I don't recommend anything unless there's a need, and it's such a highly personal thing. It's like if you have dandruff, sure. If you want to consider an alternative for fighting hair loss, sure. That there's some studies that show it's got efficacy for fighting hair loss. Yeah, that's all I can say about it. Like, I've used it. I have some, but I don't use it weekly. I don't use it daily. I'll use it once in a blue moon if I feel like there's an area of my scalp that's been itchy. Like, I have an area in the back of my scalp on the right-hand side below the donor scar that every once in a while flares up. It just feels itchy. And last week I was talking about, I think it was last week, I was talking about a bout of dandruff I had 12, 15 years ago or something where it was so bad I thought the future, my future in this business was compromised. And there was one area that was chronically itchy more than anywhere else. And to this day, it still will flare up, just a little bit of itchiness. And that's why I keep it around, just in case, because it's still in the back of my mind that shit can happen again. And I don't want to go through that again. So I keep it on hand. That and the tar-based shampoo I used to use. So, yeah, do I recommend it? If you have a need, sure. One of the known needs that it can actually address and help out with.
Make up your mind,
no,
asswipe.
Yeah, I know. I don't generally recommend it as just a regular use item because most people don't need it. It's just a good shampoo to use every once in a while.
Can we take a call?
God, please.
The longest story about fucking Nizoral I've ever heard. Jesus. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey, guys. It's Carolina from California. How are you?
Carolina, how are you?
Hello, Carolina.
Good. I'm probably the only woman on this live stream.
Well, you're not
I thought I would call
you're not the first woman to call, but I have to say it's always a pleasure to speak to a woman calling the program. You have a great voice, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, guys. I'm calling because you guys are waiting for another caller, so I thought I would just call in and shoot the shit with you guys.
Well, you know what? That's so sweet of you. I really appreciate that, except I want to go home.
And she curses. I love it. Nice.
So what's going on with you?
No, we appreciate it. Thank you.
I called in not too long ago, actually, just to get your guys' opinion on the hair loss that I had at the Crown. Do you guys remember that?
You know what? Just as he remembers it, I'm being honest, I do not remember it, but my memory is fading. So tell me.
That's okay. That's okay, Carolina. I remember you.
Thank you. I was just calling to get educated. I was reading some articles and read that Kim Kardashian recently had a hair transplant, and I know that you guys do not favor hair transplants. So I just wanted to, get your guys' opinion on hair transplants with women versus men. Apparently, women have had seen some success with them. So I just wanted to see, hear your guys' thoughts on that.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you, and that's a very good question. There's so many women now who are jumping on the hair transplant bandwagon. And by the way, Joe, my computer may die, so I'm going to have to get my cord in a second. But I would say that 99.5, maybe higher, % of women who have hair transplants regret having a hair transplant. I am not sure if Kim Kardashian actually had one. I know there was a YouTube video. There's a doctor. I think Gary Linkoff did a video on it. Yeah. And he talks about the different shape of the hairline, the changing shape of the hairline, and all that.
Exactly.
Happy horse shit. Some of that could actually be done with makeup, believe it or not. But I also know that the Kardashian family and I was going to say Bruce Jenner. Is that fucked up? Caitlyn Jenner.
It is.
I know that they're associated with they've had work done by a physician that I'm aware of. And so I know there's kind of like this family connection to this particular physician. And I would say that given her hairline, if she went to this particular physician, she didn't have a hair transplant. This is not his telltale design for hair transplant surgery. And I don't know if she would go to anybody else. But in general, if she had a hair transplant, then I would say that is one of the best female hair transplants I have ever seen in the history of hair transplant surgery. It is so unusual for a female hairline to look natural once it's transplanted, even in the best hands, especially when they when they have significant fullness or they have a full natural hairline naturally. It could take 2 or 3 sessions to even come close to their natural density, and then usually when they get to that point, it just never looks right, in my opinion. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Now, the alternative to that is you might not know it's a hair transplant if every photo you've seen of her has been one of these photoshopped to death alternate reality images that doesn't actually exist.
Right.
So she may have had a bad hair transplant, and the Photoshop experts over at Vogue are taking care of every image that's published because it is such a controlled PR machine. I don't know. I don't pay attention to her. I hear the name and the different things she's done. Sometimes you can't even avoid it. So of course I do hear about some things. I do remember hearing something about hair surgery just through the YouTube verse. But I've never looked into it. I've never looked at her hairline to actually try to figure it out because it just hasn't been on my radar.
And here's the thing, I like Gary Linkoff. Gary Linkoff is actually, I had a discussion with him for Global Hair Loss Summit. He's one of our faculty members. I think he's doing a really great job with his YouTube channel. It's blowing up. But
where is he located? Do you know?
He's in New York. He's in New York City. But Gary is, he doesn't have a tremendous amount of time on tissue. He's only been performing hair transplants since 2018. I know, that he trained with Jeff Epstein, who's been a long time IAHS member. He definitely has enough time on tissue to, be an associate member of the IAHS if he chose to apply. But, all of this takes a lot of experience and a lot of time, not just performing surgery, but also being able to know exactly, especially when it comes to images, who had surgery and who didn't have surgery. And in my estimation, I would say, based on the images that I've seen of Kim Kardashian, even though her hairline has changed, if she had surgery, I cannot imagine it being a conventional hair transplant, be it strip or FUE.
Don't forget, there's the option of a partial piece as well. Her hairline might look different because she could have changed hair systems, partial pieces. She could have just started wearing one because of any issues she may be having. So, when you're worth as much as she is, you can get a great, completely undetectable partial piece, just like Matthew McConaughey does, and no one would ever know.
That's true.
The technology of those things is amazing.
Look, I'm going to put up an image of. I took some images of myself the other day. I'm thinking about what I can put on Instagram, because I put up something on Instagram yesterday. But I realized that this is my 25th year doing this, and maybe it's time that I kind of suit up and really take it seriously again, because the industry is so fucked up, and I have time. So I was thinking, what can I put out there on Instagram? So I decided to do like a before and after shot of myself that would look like someone who was balding, and then someone who went through either a hair transplant or treatment, and this was the after image. And it was literally taken 15 seconds apart. All I did was comb my hair slightly differently, and it looks like I have a full, beautiful, luscious head of hair. And that's without makeup.
Well, you do.
Well,
you do, Spencer.
No, I really appreciate that, but I'm a bald man on the inside, and B, the reality is when you see the image, you'll see I have a bald spot. That's just the way that it is. I'm very lucky to have what I have. There's no doubt about it. But this was, something that I thought would illustrate all the bullshit that everyone is seeing in their Instagram feeds when they're looking at celebrities in their before and after images. All I did was move the comb over, take a shot, and then comb it nicely, and then take 10 seconds apart, maybe 15 seconds apart, and it looks like I grew all my hair back. And it doesn't look like a comb over on top. Easy. So when you see these images of before and afters, and we'll get back to hair transplants in a second, but from all of these lotions and potions that celebrities are all of a sudden endorsing, and you see this picture of someone holding someone's hair in a certain way, and then all of a sudden the hair's dropped and they grew all the hair back. That is how this hair loss industry was built. And it's so they can be untouched pictures or unretouched pictures, whatever you want, however they say it. You don't need to use Photoshop. You don't need to use concealer. All you have to do is move the hair around slightly, and it looks like the person grew a significant amount of hair. So
sometimes you don't even need to touch it. You can just have one image. I actually demonstrated this in one of my videos where you can take a photo of someone's crown that's thinning with a flash, and 2 seconds later, the exact same image or another photo, exact same angle, not even touching the hair, no Photoshop, just using no flash, and that in and of itself, I actually did this on a patient years ago, and I presented it online when I worked for a clinic saying, check this out, 2,000 grafts before and after. And everyone was like, wow, that's fantastic. Good job. How many months after surgery is this? It's like, it's not. It's 2 seconds apart using flash.
You provided me with images many, many years ago when I did that television show. And the person was like, when I explained that this was not a before and after, but this was shown as a before and after, she almost fell out of her chair. So listen, we just went off track. I know you have a question about hair transplant surgery for women, and I have to say that while there are people in the chat that are saying, this person's doing great surgery on women and that person's doing great surgery on women, it is very, very rare. And I can tell you what a decent surgery looks like on a woman who has no real hair loss. There's a fitness professional. Her name is Monica Brandt. And you can go look her up. She had a hair transplant just to lower her hairline. This was several years ago. And I'm not saying there couldn't be better work done, and I'm not saying it's horrible by any means. She's a beautiful woman. But if it's something you're seriously looking at, take a look at that. That's a good example of what I think hair transplant surgery looks like in person on a woman. And, see whether or not that's something you're comfortable with. Now, again, she's a beautiful woman. Her hair looks fine. And she has a lot of hair, so it was kind of negligible anyway. But if you really look into it, you can kind of see, if you're an expert or if you know what to look for, the transplanted hair. And nobody else is going to see it. It's nothing like that that person that we had on our program. We're not going to mention her name, but from the UK, who was completely destroyed. Mm-hmm. But the reason I mentioned Monica Brandt is that's a decent result for a female hair transplant. And that's about the best you could expect.
Sorry, Spencer. The video we're talking about, Gary speculated that Kim Kardashian most likely started off with an FUD, and then as the technology changed, then she most likely recently had a couple of FUEs. But one of the things he, mentioned in the video is that, it sounds like it's not a one and done. It sounds like something that you have to do every 5 years or a few years based on, the need of the patient.
Well, you're going through. Are you going through active hair loss right now?
No.
Okay. So what's your hair loss situation currently? Because you just mentioned that you spoke to us about crown loss that you had.
Yeah, I have some hair thinning at the crown, nothing crazy. I'm more so just calling to chat with you and get educated on FUE versus FUE.
Well, just to let you know, FUE is not a new procedure. It's been around for over 20 years. So anyone who's saying that, these are newer procedures, again, that's the information from a person that's relatively new to the field. And again, we put Gary on the faculty of Global Hair Loss Summit. I think that he offers a lot to the physician community, and he offers a lot of great advice to patients. But most women who have long hair, if you're going to have hair transplant surgery, and if you're a very specific candidate who would benefit from hair transplant surgery, a traditional harvest or a strip procedure is really the only way to go. What I see that's happening to women, and you see them on Instagram and on TikTok, and they show the back of their heads after they've had, 3,000 or 4,000 FUE grafts. You got to realize that the density for a woman will be diminished significantly if you have several thousand grafts, even if it's kind of invisible. And you will never be able to get 100% of that sweet spot and get as many grafts moved unless you have a strip procedure. If you're going to wear your hair long anyway, if you maintain that, then having a strip scar really is inconsequential to get the best possible hair transplant.
If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. The only reason, Carolina, the only reason why FUE exists is to avoid the strip scar on male patients that wear their hair short or that want to wear their hair short.
Right.
That's it. There's no other reason. There's no other benefit. There's no other angle that anyone's been able to legitimately put forth as to why FUE was developed or explored as an option.
There's no benefit, and then there's a lot of bullshit going on where they're like, oh, you know what, FUT changes the integrity of the scalp. Well, yes, if you have several FUT procedures, the integrity of your scalp can shift or can change to some degree. But in women,
it depends on. That depends on how much of a variation there is in hair direction in the donor area of the particular person. So it's not always that case. It's not always the case.
But even in that case, even if there is a significant differential in hair direction, if a woman wears her hair at 5, 6, 7 inches, it's going to be, or longer, it's going to be invisible, imperceptible.
It's a non-issue.
Yeah. So if you're a woman considering hair transplant surgery, in my view, if you're a candidate, strip, and again, I'm not a doctor, is the only way to go.
And
Yeah,
the thing
I'm
is,
not
Carolina, is
considering
like, one of the things that women really think about, like I've heard this all my life, even from a young age, women, and it comes from commercials, like shampoo commercials. You want your hair to feel full and lush. That is
Right.
the ideal of health for women when it comes to
That's what I'm going for,
marketing
yeah.
of shampoos and all this. So when you go to Turkey and have 4,000 grafts to lower a hairline,
That's over.
how do you think your hair feels? And this happens every day. Like there are hundreds of women in Turkey right now having this done. So how do you think it makes your donor feel if 4,000 grafts, arguably 10,000 hairs, because it's multi-hair grafts or multi-hairs in each graft, if you lose 10,000 hairs just from the concentrated area of your donor, the back and sides, how do you feel? How do you think that makes your hair feel? Even if it looks fine, it feels limp and thin,
Yeah,
like a dandelion.
Yeah, you'd have to wear hair tracks, or hair extensions around.
Right, and then you'd be
Around your hair
and then in the
like
end,
that.
you're causing yourself to have more hair loss and traction alopecia and all
exactly.
possible complications. Listen, I live in an area where during the pandemic, it looked like The Walking Dead, zombies, women walking the streets with their extensions hanging off because they couldn't get their hair done. And there was no, first of all, you couldn't go to a salon. You couldn't get the hair because the supply chain, was all fucked up. And the level of depression that I saw in these women's faces. So that's another route that I think, again, is totally misrepresented. And the majority of women who are forced to wear hair extensions, if they're not worn correctly, and usually they're not, they can be though.
Yeah.
Usually they're not.
Yeah.
You can end up causing more harm than good.
Yes, they're more damaging than not.
Yeah, but they can be worn. They can certainly be worn. But the problem with hair extensions is once they're put in, women are addicted. Women, absolutely addicted.
I've never worn them, but I'm lucky to have a hairdresser who has guided me the right way and has always said, do not do it, because once you go down that path, you will not turn back.
Yeah, that's it. And once women take it out, they are like, they just don't feel as beautiful.
Yeah.
And
listen, guys.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry to cut you off, Spencer. I was just going to say thank you, guys. I'm going to get off the air before I get the next on the chat thread. But I just want to say, as always, you guys are super informative and
you're the best.
very entertaining. And thank you guys for what you do. I enjoy watching you guys.
Well, I really
Thanks
appreciate you calling in, and thank you for keeping the show alive for an extra 20 minutes.
And Spencer, your hair is beautiful coming from a woman.
Oh, you're very sweet. How old are you? How old are you?
I'm 49.
You're a kid. Are you married?
Thanks. I am married.
You are? All right, not too bad. Okay. All right, well, I'm glad.
Too bad.
I'm glad. Listen, Caroline, thank you so much.
I might see you in the LA area, Spencer. I'm in Orange County, so I might bump into you. And if I do, I'll stop and say hi.
Okay. All right. Just don't scare me, okay?
Right on.
All right. All right. Take care.
Have a good night.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Carolina. Bye.
888-659-3727. We got some calls.
At least your hair looks good.
Come on. She was just talking to
me. By the way,
you can't get all the compliments, by the way.
I can if I want. By the way, hairboutique.com in the chat room is also a woman, just to make sure that she's recognized. So we appreciate all the ladies tuning in, calling, and taking part in the chat room.
And she's also very sweet. Anyway.
She's also very sweet.
Let's see who this is. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from? Hey, caller.
Hello.
I hear you, man. Don't be shy. All right. Hello? You're almost on.
Yep.
We almost got you. All right. Call back, 888-659-3727. Let's see how long my battery can last. It's dying. Let's see. What percentage is it?
What battery?
I could I could let you fend for yourself for a second, Joe.
About what?
Let's see. Just go ahead.
No, like what's the issue with your battery? And he cuts off.
I have to plug in my computer, dude. Hold on.
He's the only guy I know that has a battery for his home computer. Anyway, God, yeah, there's so much more I want to talk about with Carolina, but anyway, for some reason she had to go. Maybe her husband was coming home. And thank you for your comment. You love my hair too. That's very sweet. I was just giving you a hard time because Spencer shouldn't be getting compliments because then it goes to his head. Let's see what else is going on. What questions we got? Yes, Hair Boutique. It does have a lot to do with cameras and lighting. I've talked about that so much in so many videos and postings online. Scammers, potions, lotions. Charlie, trichophytic closures can look better than FUE scars sometimes. Well, yeah. I mean, if you got a great extreme on one end for the trichophytic closure, and then a horrible extreme for FUE scarring, then absolutely. But the thing about trichophytic closures is different clinics will do them different ways, where the bottom half of the wound overlaps the top, and then other clinics will have it where the top half of the wound overlaps on the bottom, if you know how trichophytic closure works. And they don't. Actually, I had someone ask me about this the other day, if they should have a repair surgery and should they push for trichophytic closure. Well, the answer to that is if the doctor feels that's necessary, but very few doctors that are experienced with this will feel that a repair patient is a good candidate for trichophytic closure, especially if you're going to go in for more surgeries, because it rarely works well on anything but a first-time patient with FUT. And I just heard Spencer come back on.
Nobody knows shit, by the way.
There we go. Huh?
Nobody really knows
I know.
shit.
We talk about that.
Everyone thinks they know. Every head that these doctors open up is different. That's just the way that it is. Everyone could sell you on a surgery. Everyone could say, this is what we can do for you. But they never really know until they start to cut you open exactly what they can do for you. They have an assessment. They think they know what they can do. They hope, based on all of their experience and their practicing medicine for these many years, and that say you decide to have FUE, and they go in, they take a couple of punches, and your skin is super mushy, and your hair follicles are just disintegrating with every punch. You're fucked. You're one of those patients this is not going to work out for. So if you're sitting in the chair and you've already taken, 2 weeks off of work, and you saved your money, or you put it on a credit card, or took out a loan for this shit, and if the doctor doesn't have another option in his option case, in his toolbox, doesn't offer FUT, for instance, and you're not a candidate for FUE, what are they going to do, especially if you flew to Turkey? They're going to do the FUE anyway, and you will be decimated, destroyed. And it's happening every day, every single day. So, when the doctors who are listening raise an eyebrow, even though they're part of the IAHRS, even though they pay their monthly and annual dues to be a member of the organization, when they hear me say that 7 out of 10 hair transplant surgeries or patients believe that they range from being dissatisfied to disfigured, there's been a couple who didn't like the fact that I put that out there. Now, you have to take into account that I'm not just talking about, obviously, members of the IHRS. The percentages are much lower as far as unhappy patients, but they still exist. But in general, overall, and realize we have 60 doctors who we've been able to bring on out of thousands now, thousands of physicians. I think there were 700 or 800 members or physicians who attended the ISHRS conference in Panama. And maybe there were 30 IAHRS members that attended. I don't know, maybe less. maybe 50.
How many?
Maybe 30 that attended. A lot of guys just didn't go. A lot of new people.
Yeah. Yeah.
The vast majority of people who attended that conference do not know shit, and they cannot perform hair transplant surgery to state-of-the-art standards. That is a reality that no one wants to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They want to fight the fight and talk the talk, but they don't want to walk the walk. It just made myself laugh.
Sad state of affairs.
But when I hear, and here, again, I like Gary Linkoff. I think he's done incredible work with his channel. I think in general he's helping a lot of people make a lot of good decisions. But no one really knows. When these doctors make assessments of what happened, what celebrities had done, it's all conjecture. It's all guesswork, especially when it comes to hair work. I have seen guys who are real experts in this field, doctors, who are making certain assessments about people's hair. And I'm just like, what the fuck? You're a doctor? So, you just can't go by any of that stuff. He has an entertaining channel. He educates people. I think, he's doing a great job. I wouldn't have invited him to be on the faculty at the Global Hair Loss Summit if I didn't think he was offering a great service. And that, he's really kind of bringing hair loss education to the masses, I think to a really reasonable level for a doctor. Mm-hmm. That sounds insulting, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's very possible that Kim Kardashian has had some hair transplants or a hair transplant works. Very, very possible.
I should maybe look into it. Maybe do my own
I think you should do your assessment of Gary's assessment, but in a nice way.
Not a bad idea. He did.
Not like in a Joe Tillman
in a nice way.
Not in a Tillman way. Not in a hair
as
transplant
opposed to the
way.
asshole way.
Yeah, listen, he's a very nice guy. I happen to like him very much.
I know he's a nice guy.
I also have a lot of respect for him as far as his ability to get himself out there and really build that channel and the way in which he did it. I don't agree with everything that he says. I don't.
Well, neither do I. He knows I don't.
Yeah.
But what I have respect for,
he's a good dude. He's doing his best. He should be respected. Yeah.
I have respect for the guy because he was going through a horrible physical issue.
God, that's huge.
With alopecia universalis, like not a hair on his head, eyebrows, nothing. And that's when he decided to, really get involved with his YouTube channel and his social media. Before he lost his hair, he was a goddamn GQ model. Like he was like, he was a beautiful man. It's like, what? Like his hair was on point and he's just a handsome guy.
All right, dude, relax.
And then he loses all of it. And that's when he starts going,
put it back in your pants.
Hardcore into the public. What's that?
Put it back in your pants, dude. Relax. Yes. Very nice looking man.
Yeah.
However, he's still, surprisingly, given his situation, he's extremely pleasant looking. He's a nice looking guy. He still looks good.
That's not the point. The point was, I respect him for being ballsy because I don't know anyone that would do that.
Do you really think that I don't understand your point, Joseph?
Of course you understand it,
but
I want to finish my point.
Okay.
A long time. He was ballsy for doing that, and that's what I respect. And, kudos for him getting such a huge following. Like,
I'm going to say this. Yeah, I'm going to say this. Honestly, I admire him a lot. That is a strong motherfucker. That is a strong.
It's made him strong.
But he's a mentally powerful. And the thing is, he has a wife and a family to support, and to put himself out there the way that he has, given those circumstances. And we spoke about this. Shit. Very few people on this planet would be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I admire him greatly. And yeah, listen, I'm sure he disagrees with me about some shit. We should all be able to disagree about stuff and come to terms on the fact that we disagree about things and still be able to promote each other and talk about things. He's one of the few guys, I think, in the industry that is cool with that. Other people will not be that cool about it. What?
Nothing. Just listening. I got nothing to say.
Well, he's cool with me, at least.
Morty's in the queue. Morty's back.
We're going to take your call, Morty, 888-659-3727. Anyway, I would say that anyone who's going to be, any of the physicians that are listening that are going to be at Global Hair Loss Summit, and we do start, the pre-pass opens tomorrow, you will see my talk with Gary Linkoff, and it was a great discussion. And he's just a very, he's genuinely laid back. He is, he expresses himself, I would say, in a very, just a relaxed, confident, and very sincere way. And I think that comes across in his videos. But I think that's important for other physicians to see, because a lot of these guys come across as fucking assholes, and that's holding them back. Let's take a call. Is this Morty?
Of course it is.
Morty!
Guys,
Joe always thinks that I'm not letting him finish his point, and that's not true. He's got a 2-second. He's got a 2-second delay because he's in fucking Canada, and it always fucks things up with that.
See, it's always my fault.
So Joe is in fucking Canada. Is that where Joe is?
Yeah, not just Canada, fucking Canada.
First of all, nothing. I appreciate all the people who live in Canada, but Jesus, how do you do it, Joe?
What's the temperature like over there right now?
I'll tell you exactly what it is. It is.
Well, I guess Joe has a head start on us because that's eventually how America may end up.
It's 4 degrees Celsius, which is like 45 degrees, give or take.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. It's starting to get chilly over here, so it's all good. Yeah, man, I haven't called in a little while. Figured I'd give a call. Fridays have gotten.
We've not been on in a little while. We've been off the air for a month.
Yeah, well, I saw your show last week, Joe. I liked it. It was good.
Thank you. It was fun.
Hey, you're welcome.
It was hard to do with my voice, but it was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better, which is important. And Spencer, man,
thank you.
Good to hear your voice.
It's great to hear my voice. I know. What's happening, my man? So how have you been? I know that you're having a lot of fun in New York, and
well, we've been, I've been busy. Some of it's been fun. Some of it's been, not so much fun. A lot of it's been dealing with family issues. I got my mom issues. I was actually just coming back from there, so I figured I got home like looking to see, oh, you guys are online. I wasn't even sure you were gonna have a show because of the Global Hair Loss Summit. I'm sure you guys are super busy.
We are super busy, but I'm going to give you some advice about parents and about old parents. It doesn't get any better, Morty. So just prepare yourself.
Oh, believe me. As troublesome as it can be, and as much of a headache it is, and the fact that it is getting more difficult, I cherish every moment because I don't know how much longer I got.
Well,
that's. I want to make sure
you must have a really good relationship with your parents and your mom. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it's part of the tribe, man. You know that. I mean, it's funny. YouTube's been throwing up some old videos of yours, and one of them popped up on my feed, on my YouTube feed, that showed you when you were at your parents' house doing the broadcast, which I thought was really amazing.
Oh wow! I was actually at I was in my father's apartment. I was living there for like 4 or 5 months, taking care of the dude, while he was basically telling his nursing aide that I wanted to kill him.
Started with that shit.
So,
I remember that.
I'm dealing with the same thing.
What was that?
Yeah, I'm dealing with something similar. My dad had to deal with it with his mother, and then he had to deal with it himself. It's these I mean, not to get political, but these government programs to take care of the elderly, I don't know, man. I don't know whether they're even worth the money.
Dude, they are fucking ridiculous. And these senior centers where these people can get lunches for $1.99, and the food that they feed these people, that's what's killing them. That's what's making them demented. Allegedly.
I can believe it. Oh yeah, and like I said, you get somebody come in part-time, working minimum wage. That's what kind of treatment you expect a person to get if that's what you're paying the people who are coming to look in on your.
Dude, the jobs that these aides have are so difficult. The shit that my dad's aide, I used to have to pay my dad's aide extra money just to make her happy, and I did. I took care of her, and I never forget when she's talking to me in common law. Came from L.A. to visit. And we're sitting at the table, and this nurse's aide tells common law not to worry that her and me are just friends. Somehow this nurse's aide had a relationship in her mind that I was, there was some sort of flirtation going on.
And you're paying her for it.
This lady was, and this is just the way it is. She was like 4'11". She was probably 10 years older than me, and she was from somewhere that I can't even pronounce. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there was certainly no attraction on my part.
Yeah, he mentions it anyway.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. She was a lovely lady, but the shit that she had to take. I mean, I'm being honest. My dad would ask for blowjobs from his aides.
Wow! Oh wow! Oh my god, dude! Holy shit!
This guy when he lost it, he was fucking wild. The shit that I used to hear, I couldn't even believe that this was my father.
Goodness, I can only imagine what you're going to be like when you get to that age, Spencer.
I have to tell you that I don't know if I want, if it has to end like that, I want it to end 5 years earlier.
That's the problem. You don't get the choice. That's how that works. It's like your body, your different parts of your body are going to die off at different rates. I mean, all of us hair loss sufferers know all about that the hair in the front and the top dies off before the stuff on the sides. So, we know about.
Speaking of hair, how's your hair, Morty?
It's it's there, and it's getting ready for its.
It's there. I like that. It's there, and that's what matters. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Good night. It's there. I like it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's been a year, and the novelty's worn off, and we're going in for a second pass on the 27th, so that's exciting.
So the novelty of having hair is worn off, or is that what you're saying? Like, maybe it wasn't worth it?
Yeah. I wouldn't go that far. But I would say that it's just like anything else. You get used to it after a while.
And then you start to pick on it and think to yourself, it could be better, or should I really get this done, or is it thinning, or then it becomes more of a problem for some people.
Well, I could tell you, it definitely opens up a different set of concerns. Like now I have to go to the barber, whereas before I would just, buzz it myself, and I wouldn't care less.
Mm-hmm.
You suddenly in the mirror and you're futzing with it where you never did before.
Right.
So those things are certainly true. But I'm glad I had it done. Please. It's funny. I actually started using this filter, which has gotten real popular nowadays on the internet. It's the Lenza avatar filter. I don't know if you guys heard about it.
I've seen it. I've seen you. I've seen all these other fools using it. I mean, other people.
Yeah. You can call me a fool. It's all good.
No, whatever.
And then so and
dude, you've been giving your ID, every piece of yourself, your DNA and your facial recognition, all that stuff to the Chinese for 5 years already that I know of.
Oh yeah, well let them make copies of me. I need more me in the world. So that's
whatever.
And let the Chinese own it. Believe me, it's not worth that much.
You'd be surprised, man.
But the cool thing is that these algorithms and filters or AI or whatever the hell they are, they make my hair look even better. So I'm like, fuck, okay.
Dude, absolutely, man.
Then you take a screenshot and send it to Dr. Cole and say, I want this.
Yeah.
So when's the next time you're going to interview with Nick?
Oh God! Whenever the fuck he gets off of his stuff and stops killing animals and putting it on social media.
I don't.
He does do that.
Yes, he does.
So is his gig? So he basically works for the company.
Yeah. He works for. I mean, it's companies. It's multiple. He's got Cole Instruments, and he's got Hair Cycle, and he's got Dr. Cole's got a few different businesses. Yeah.
All right.
So
I don't want to get personal with the family, Morty. I'm sorry. Just asking. I didn't want to know what Nick was doing.
You asked me a question. You know me. I'm an open book with you, Spencer. No secrets between us.
No, I'm just curious. Like every once in a while, I'll get like some weird drunk text from someone I don't know saying like, "You've recommended this for a 25-year-old," and then I have to like scroll through shit. I'm like, "Who the fuck is this?"
Jesus.
And I realize it's Nick.
Oh my God!
And I'm like, "Who this?" And I get no response.
Oh Lord.
Anyway,
I wouldn't put that past him. he's a goofball.
Anyway, so do you know that your doctor is doing the opening remarks for this year's Global Hair Loss Summit, right?
Oh, that's great. Okay, no, I had no idea. That's pretty awesome.
And we are all like waiting to hear them. I know that he said he's going to upload them, so we should we should. Dude, it's always anytime John talks to me, it's fucking exciting. Do you think I would invite him to be to give the opening remarks if I didn't think he was great at that?
Oh no, he's a good speaker, no question, absolutely.
But he's always passionate about shit. He's just I mean, he gets a lot of shit about a lot of things, and some of it's understandable. But there's also he's a guy who has a lot of passion for what he does, and he's helped a lot of people.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that statement 100%. John is someone who he does a lot of research, and he's going off in directions which some people may not feel are warranted. Some people don't want to necessarily follow in the directions that he goes. But wherever he goes, he's got a reason to be there, and he believes very deeply in his approach to things. And again, it's going to be different than a lot of other doctors.
Dude, you sound like a CNN contributor.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Guys talking in fucking circles, man. He's like the fucking our current White House press secretary.
Oh God.
Morty's a gay woman of color.
Oh Lord.
No, here's the thing. I don't know what she's talking. I don't know what this woman is talking about. To me, if you're going to have a job, as like the chief communicator, you have to be able to communicate.
You should communicate.
That's it.
Yes.
Whatever it is. What was great about the other that Jen Psaki person is whatever you thought she was saying, whether it's right or wrong, and even though there was a lot of us involved, she was a solid communicator. She got up there and she said her shit. She did her thing. Whether you agree with it or not, at the very least, she was able to communicate.
Yeah, 100%.
Now it's unbelievable. What was that?
I'm not even following it anymore. I because it's just everything is just it's just pitching an agenda, and I can't even go there anymore.
Well, I'll tell you what has been fun to follow is what's happening with Twitter. That's fun.
100%.
Oh yeah. Oh my God, yes.
That's
Did you
fun.
see the bit about Baker, about the lawyer
Yes.
who was an ex-FBI guy? Oh, that was so amazing! Holy shit!
It's fucking great.
It's the reason why the second dump was delayed, and
Yep.
yeah, and it's not just that he was FBI. It's the history that he had being at the FBI, the things that he was involved in, that made it especially juicy.
Well, you know what's interesting about this? Whatever your political bent is, I don't think any of it should matter. I think just the fact that this is happening is exciting. It's interesting. Yeah. It's a hell of a lot more exciting. That's what's been happening in the country, prior to this.
Well, it's pulling
like
the curtain back on things that no one knows, although a lot of people suspected was happening, and it's just one of the triage of the big three. There's Twitter, there's Facebook, and there's Google. That's had the curtain pulled back, so the same thing is going on.
But Joe, there's people, there's people that I've even grown up with, friends that I've had, for many years. People I have a lot of respect for, who are well-heeled and well-educated, that will tell you, Joe, that this is all propaganda.
Oh yeah, I have family members that'll say that.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, well, what isn't propaganda? What's really happening? So what do? We just all hide it and fucking figure it out ourselves.
It's not even about what's right. It's not even about what's right and true anymore. It's about whose side you're on. I mean, and that's the thing that really makes I can't even watch this stuff anymore, because everything is being judged based on a given position or a given a given narrative. And I just what happened to truth? What happened to speaking your mind? And
what about this FTX kid? That is fucking awesome. This guy is going to just skate right through.
Here's the thing. No, my friend, he is not. Okay, here's the thing about the FTX situation. He's not going to skate through, because it turns out that he donated more than $40 million. It was more like $1 billion to a particular political side, and because of all the information he has about that. I highly suspect that because he's going to be testifying, he agreed to be testifying. I highly suspect that he's going to be Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, I was going to say, you need to keep an eye on that guy.
Yeah, he's definitely not going to commit suicide.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to tell you, you got to give that motherfucker some props, though.
Oh yeah,
you got to give that guy some props.
And, I tell you something, because of the tribe that both you and I belong to, Spencer, it just breaks my heart, because it's another one of us, man. They're like, oh, he's another Madoff. It's like, God damn it.
Look, he just mentioned another Jew, Epstein. That was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and dude, it sucks for us, man. I want to take these people and like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I mean, it's like we got it bad enough. We got Kanye jumping down our freaking throats over here. We don't need this shit. Fucking behave yourself, goddamn it.
I think Kanye's done us a favor.
Maybe.
Yeah.
He's definitely made visible a lot of things that people were keeping under wraps. So that much is, I prefer to see my enemies rather than have them be scuttled, so I can't know what they're actually thinking.
Dude, when I first moved out here to Los Angeles, we were living in Woodland Hills at the time, and it was Hanukkah, and common law decided to put the menorah in the window, and I'm like, are you crazy, bitch? And that's the mentality. Non-Jews, goys have no idea what it's like. And then, I realized, she's like, well, she didn't understand, because essentially, it was a Jewish neighborhood. I had no idea. I didn't live here. To me, this is like, you always got to fucking beware of the enemy.
Yeah.
Keep your head down. Keep moving.
You don't understand that. Not but 2 weeks ago, the Black Israelites were marching around 2 blocks from my house at Grand Army Plaza.
Yeah.
I was just like, really?
And by the way, if you haven't liked the program, please hit that like button. And of course, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that bell.
I once got high with a Black Israelite on 42nd Street when I was about 14 years old. That's a true story. Same day I had my first sexual experience at a peep show.
Oh, all right.
So
there's so many ways we could take that.
Black Israelites, yeah.
Yeah, I got stoned with the Black Israelite, one of those guys with the bullhorns that used to hang out on the 42nd Street.
Oh wow!
See, if you flip that around, I had my first sexual experience the same day that I met a black Israelite and got high with him.
No, that's how how a goy would flip it around, right, Morty?
It's a funny thing. I tell you something. A friend of mine just sent me this. God, we're really going off the tangent on this program.
It's all right. Joe doesn't like that, but you know what? The way that I see it, we talk about hair all the fucking time. I got to get off the show, and I have to go into this hair loss platform for doctors and work on that shit. I'm tired of it, man. I want to talk to Morty about something else. So go ahead.
I have to go and edit all their damn presentations. I have to deal with them like in my face.
Yeah,
anyway.
So a buddy of mine sent me this video for this rapper whom I never heard of, and his name is Hebro. Okay?
Love it.
And, I'm not kidding you. You can look him up. He's actually quite good. So there's a story right there. I listened to it, and it's legit like religious Jewish music, but with a rap going on underneath. It's kind of like if you ever heard of a fellow named Matisyahu. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I have actually. I love that shit.
Or Nissim Black is another one. And in both, both Hebrew and Nissim Black are both converts. Although Nissim Black is interesting, he converted himself, but Hebrew is really interesting because his parents converted not just to any Judaism. They converted to like Crown Heights Chabad Judaism.
No way, really?
Okay.
So
yep.
I was going to use the fucked up term. So these are African American guys, family that are wearing that are essentially wearing black suits all the time and hats.
Mm-hmm. Nissim Black, he does the fur hat, bro.
That's fucking awesome, man.
It is. And he's like Nissim Black he's a heavy set guy, so he's wearing the black long coat and the black fur hat, and he's rapping away. He's freaking awesome. And this other kid, this kid Hebrew, he's a skinnier kid. He's a little bit more light skinned, and he's doing like a more melodic kind of thing. But I mean, these guys are legit, man. These guys are not just putting on a show,
Look,
like I said, Matisyahu, he's legit too, So
look, all we can wish for is that all this shit just fucking calms down eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, we're always going to be hated. That's just the way it is. What Jew hasn't accepted that? Move on.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, you just got to watch your six. That's all.
You watch it, and kick ass and move on. That's all I say.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck you. You don't like it? Go fuck yourself. Now park my car, bitch. Sorry. Is that...
Oh, no.
I wasn't referring to you, Joe.
Oh my God!
All right, brother. Listen, Joe's getting.
My sound effects aren't working.
Joe's getting bored.
Well, I was gonna kind of spin it back to Joe and mention that I really. Whoa!
What was that, Morty?
I was gonna spin it back to Joe and mention because I wanted to call in about when you had your show, but I couldn't make it in. I wanted to talk about Liver King a little bit. And just kind of give you props on the way you kind of steered that whole narrative back to hair loss and back to lotions and potions.
That was actually excellent.
Thank you.
That was really good.
Yeah, and there's actually more fallout from that. Like I saw him. He was on another. I forgot the name of the show. It's a channel I'm subscribed to, where he was apologizing again, but he's making excuses. And he's talking about all the people that commit suicide he's trying to help. It's like that's not the way you do it, and that could potentially make it even worse. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I've not. I still think about it, and I compare him and what he's done with some of the douches that are on this side of the coin on the YouTube space that are pushing products, lying about their affiliations, lying about whether or not they even think that they're worth using, because they're getting a check, they're getting a percentage, which I'm not against. Like, make your money, that's fine, but don't make shit up and don't keep affiliations on the down low, because people need to know if you're getting paid to say something. And it's
absolutely,
nothing's going to happen from this. It's good. People are going to forget about this, and he'll wind up being a joke that people make for the next couple of years.
Don't pull a
about
Liver
YouTubers.
King, Joe.
Yeah, don't pull a Liver King. That'll be the one. I like that.
Look, Morty, if anyone actually, if there are young guys out there, I'm sorry to cut you off. If there are young guys out there that actually believed that you can look the way he looked at any age, but he was like in his 40s or 47 or some shit, 43.
43, yeah.
Be as huge and hard, his muscles, consistently, without being on something.
Oh yeah.
Then these guys deserve every goddamn piece of liver they choke down to try to look like this guy.
Well, but again, he was selling his supplements. That was what it was all about. He was selling his supplements. And there's plenty of people out there, famous people who are pushing supplements, who are pushing shampoos, who are pushing, lotions and all of this other shit. So from my perspective, it's exactly the same thing.
Dude.
If you're going to go ahead and you're going to get your hair done, or you're going to, you're going to go ahead and deal with your hair one way, and you've got some degree of fame, or you're going to build fame around a certain look, and then you're not going to come clean about how you got there.
Dude, there is Anthony Robbins is online promoting whatever he's promoting, and there's claims, at least whatever he's saying, that he's he notices he has 40% more density. A, how is that measured?
Yeah.
B, I guess it's possible that and anything that you put on your scalp, or anytime you change your regime, your regimen, I should say, regime. You could have some benefits. Who knows? Who the fuck knows? I guess the big mystery to me about that is, and again, all due respect to Anthony Robbins, this guy, he literally motivated me to change my life. He is the OG, no doubt about it. So I always forgive that guy for this. And who knows what he really believes. But
he didn't do shit for me. So not all due respect for me. He shouldn't be saying 40% more density if he's not measuring it and have proof. There, I said it.
Well, that is.
And you should say that, because here's the problem with if you're a young kid, if you're a young guy and you're starting to lose your hair, and instead of getting on the stuff that actually works, you're going to go down this other path. You're sacrificing those hairs, because the longer you wait to get on meds, the more hair you're going to lose permanently. And, to me, it's worse than what the Liver King was doing, because the worst thing that you could have that happens with Liver King is, okay, you're out a few bucks and maybe you didn't get rock hard abs. But, you can, if you really wanted to, you can get on steroids and look like the Liver King later on. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
However,
there could be issues. Sorry, Morty. There could be issues with listening to the Liver King, and this. I forgot what he calls his program, but just eating raw testicles and eating raw liver. There can be issues with that. You can get parasites. You can get food poisoning. There's a host of issues that can develop from eating uncooked meat, and the whole thing with him was just complete. Like I watch him on his apology tour, and it makes me want to throw up. He's a piece of shit. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
Like he really is.
But again, but in my opinion, he's no better than the person who is hawking, a lot of these hair loss quote unquote cures or treatments that don't do anything, because you're burning through somebody's.
That is the nature of our world. Period.
Yeah.
That is the way that it works, So I think the key is, and I always say this, but for whatever reason, as a young person, I had the wherewithal to step back and realize, after I spent some money on bullshit, that there's something wrong here. For sure, there's something wrong here. Most kids, and I don't know if it's because I had to grow up fast or make money early in my life. I don't know why I was lucky enough to be able to figure this out. But most people, doesn't matter how old they are, can't figure this out. I have men and women who are, they're our age, Morty, or my age, and your age. And they're asking about these products that are being now promoted by, what's her name from Dirty Dancing? Jennifer Grey. She's on board now. And it's just like, Jesus. And her before and after picture is exactly what motivated me to do what I did. So eventually you guys will see how big my bald spot is. But it's just, it's ridiculous. Now, I'm not saying, I don't know, this line of products can do something for you. It could work. I don't know. I really don't know. I've never tried them. But chances are that if they were truly effective, then we would know more about them. They would have applied for, to work with the American Hair Loss Association, or they want, to be endorsed by us in some form. Practically every product in the market contacts us. That's just the way that it is. For the last 20 years. It started about maybe 15 years ago, once we got a foothold in the field. Unless it's something that could potentially lower DHT, and there are nutraceuticals that can help, for sure. But, these serums and these tinctures and the stuff that are being put out there by these, cosmetic companies, I just can't see how people believe in that shit. I can't see it. I understand the vulnerability. But do they really think they would see people walking around who are bald? If it was that easy to regrow your hair or stop your hair loss?
It's the old story. It couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
It can happen to the other guy, but it ain't going to happen to me.
Look, man, all I can say is, as long as I want to work, I'll be able to work. As long as I'm healthy, and as long as I want to do this, there's never a shortage of my ability to earn, and, a shortage of vulnerable hair loss sufferers, and frankly, a lot of really just, people who are just not critical thinkers. And there'll never be a shortage of scam artists.
Yep.
That's the way it works.
Do that.
So, Morty, thank you for the call. Shabbat shalom.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you, sir.
And we gotta somehow get Joe into the Jew family. He doesn't understand any of this stuff.
I actually had a doctor when I was in Istanbul back in June for World FUE Institute conference. I had a doctor come up to me and ask me if I was Jewish.
Really?
Oh my God! Well, you got the name Tillman, and Tillman, you could sort of get away with that one, And your name is Joseph.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
you do have your name is Joseph.
Well, yeah, but what they don't realize is that I'm Persian because I'm Persian because my name is actually Yusuf Tilmani.
Oh, there you go.
Dude, you were as Irish as it comes, dude. You were like, you are
some of my
so...
Persian friends actually deemed me their honorary Persian friend with that name. But anyway, yes, I'm about as transparent as it comes. Translucent, actually. What was that?
That's your Jewish name. You're now Yossi Tillman.
Yossi.
Yeah. What's your father?
As long as it's not Yossi Smollett, then I'm good.
What was your father's name, Joe?
His surname or his first name?
His first name.
His first name.
Yeah, I'm not giving that out on the interwebs.
Okay. Well, we'll make it out.
Okay. It was a good Caucasian name.
We'll say it's Jacob. So it's Ben Yaakov.
There you go. Yossi Ben Yaakov.
Ben Yaakov.
Yeah. We're named after with our Jewish names, and then with our father's name.
That's right.
So
I'm Mordechai Ben Tzvi Yisrael.
You're what?
I'm Mordechai Ben Tzvi Yisrael.
That's not bad. Yeah. I'm Sheftel David Ben Yaakov.
Sheftel David Ben Yaakov. Well,
good night.
Shabbat shalom, you guys.
All right, guys.
And,
thanks for calling, Morty. Good to hear from you as always.
Same here. Yeah, so the procedure's the 27th, and I'll give you the play-by-play as usual.
Wait a second. So you're having a procedure
awesome.
2 days after Christmas.
Yep.
So how long do you think the hangover is going to last?
Well, you know, it's after Hanukkah, so I don't care.
Not your hangover.
Oh, you mean...
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
It's not about you, Morty.
It's not about you.
It's about the person that actually will celebrate
I'm
Christmas.
not the one who's doing the surgery. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I'm going to choose not to think about that.
Okay. Well, good luck with that. Bring a breathalyzer just in case.
Good.
All right, brother. Thank you for the call.
Take it easy, folks.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. We're going to call it a night. The websites are in Joe Tillman's section under his... What is it called? Where is it?
What?
What do you kids call it on YouTube? On the YouTube?
On the YouTube
description.
On the interwebs?
Yeah.
The play. Oh, yeah, down this. Yes, all links to all the supporting online entities that support this broadcast are linked down below in the description. Absolutely. And of course, if you haven't liked this broadcast or this video, if you're watching the replay, click the like button. Show us that you care, because we do this for free. Like, we're not making any money doing this, so we're just doing this to help educate you, and because we like bullshitting on camera in front of each other, so that's also a benefit. Of course, if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell for all notifications for when new videos and broadcasts are available.
I'm a little bummed that Caroline is married.
I know. I heard that in your voice.
Anyway,
Yeah.
guys, until next time. I'm kind of kidding, not kidding. Until next time, be strong. God bless. We're not going to take this call, guys. Sorry, you should have called in before. Be strong. God bless. And thank you so much for listening. Take care.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the program, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid.